How's everybody doing? Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Hopefully we're all doing okay. See here. Hello, hello. Sorry, it looks like my screen is on the wrong screen here. Let's see here. There we go. Sweet. All right, having an issue with my model. Okay, great. That's, I mean, not great, but shoot a message in Discord, like a screenshot, and we can talk about it. Because I guarantee you the issue you're having, other people have probably had as well. I know you're all working on individual models, but usually these problems are universal, so it's not unheard of to take a look at it. Did send me a message. Okay, let's see here. Okay. You had to close the program to do an update, and when I loaded the MA file, it seems to only load all the parts I was topologizing as the model. Is there a quick fix for some steps? Unloading the file for references. Yeah, so all you need to do is reload in your reference model, and then click on that mesh, and then click on quad draw. So reload in your reference file, set it as the live reference or whatever that is. Let me open up Maya really quickly here for you. Talk about it. But if you set that as the live surface, you re-import your mesh, your reference mesh, set it as the live surface, click on that, and then click on quad draw. It should snap everything back into place. In theory. Get Maya opened here, but yeah, that's usually it's not a huge deal. It's almost as if you just clicked off the mesh. The biggest issue you'll have with this is making sure that you have the reference in the same spot that it was before, but it should be relatively easy. Or if you didn't resize it or anything, if you just dropped it in and worked from where it came in by default, then it's even better. Yeah, so essentially what I just did there was what you would do, right? So my model was not set to the live reference. So in theory, you'd do the same thing. You'd re-import this, it would come in the same spot, you'd click on it, you'd set it as the live reference, then click on the mesh, click on quad draw, and it should go back to where it was. If you did move it, that's okay. Just try to move it generally into the same position it was before, scale it roughly, and then it should still work. It's not the end of the world if you moved it. I'm importing the OBJ or the MA. You're importing the OBJ that was your reference model from ZBrush. So you're just re-importing that into the scene. And then as soon as that is re-imported, then you should be able to set it as the live reference. I'm just cleaning up some topology here a little bit. So this phase of the retopo is kind of just final cleanup stuff. Like we've already well allocated enough geometry everywhere. What you can do is start going through and just double checking all of your edge loops and making sure they make sense for where they are on the model. Just cleaning up in general. There are a few more spots that I want to make sure I'm covering just in general for certain areas. Like I want to make sure I have enough geometry for certain spots. So I'm going to pull out geometry in certain areas just to cover certain things. And if I need to add another edge loop in certain areas, I always can. I do kind of have this awkward edge loop at the top of the head that I don't love. But it's okay. This one is not my favorite, but it'll be fine. It kind of just loops with the hair, which is all right. I also have the topology for the rest of the body to kind of take into account. I also need to do the ponytail here, so we'll capture some of that. Easy things first though. Let's hit the ponytail. I think that's fairly easy. I'm just going to turn off Object X. And then I can kind of adjust this thing in real time for where it needs to be. Still going to try to make sure I have the right amount of topology around this thing, but I do want it to kind of flow with the shape of the ponytail more so than in the rest of the head, just so that it captures the detail of the sculpt. So it might not be perfectly symmetrical all the way around just because I'm trying to line stuff up to the reference model itself. So I'm okay with certain edge loops being a little bit different, the way it rotates and moves around this. Hair in general is usually kind of a pain, so the fact that mine is fairly simple, I'm not going to complain too much. It's normally way more of a pain. This is not too bad. Fortunately, all the characters that were kind of the references that I picked for you had fairly simple hair. Trying to unwrap my model and I can't. It says as non-manifold geometry. When I go to clean up and have it select a non-manifold geometry, it selects a huge amount of vertices. Okay, usually the best way to clean up non-manifold excuse me, is to go to vertex mode like this, highlight everything, and do an edit mesh merge like this. And then usually it should get rid of stuff that's really egregious. If that doesn't get rid of it, then you might need to do a little bit more work to get rid of it. There's, without looking at your specific model, you could always send the MB file through Discord if you wanted to, and we could look at it. Yeah, test that out real quick and then let me know how that goes. So if you can see, I'm kind of letting the topology flow around the hair now. When I was doing it before in symmetry mode, it was just gonna try to make this so even on both sides. And as you can tell, this hair just isn't gonna work well with that method. So doing it this is a little bit more slow and tedious, but at the end we'll come out with a better looking low poly because we took the time to allocate the polygons in the right spots. Okie dokie. Let's see here. That's feeling pretty good. I can always try this too. Let's see. Sometimes this will work decently, which it seems to be doing okay. I'm just extruding along there, and it's following pretty decently now. Let's do one more here. Then I might have to figure out how to deal with this. Okay. A little better there. Sometimes just scooting and moving some of these edge loops can help it form to the mesh a little better. That seems to be working a little bit better through here now. Okay, now I'm going to try to loop just around this. Let's see if I can sort of connect these together. I don't know how many faces I have to sort of clean this up through here. But if I can kind of do like a T section through here, it'll be a little bit easier to sort of terminate everything. So I can kind of see where this goes. All right, I might need another edge loop through here, but I actually think I'm okay. And this doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat. We can adjust a little bit more depending. There's obviously some edge loops through here that need to find a home. So the other solution too is doing like a big triangle point at the back of this ponytail, which is not ideal, but it could be done if it needed to be done. Merge method didn't work. Yeah, shoot it through. Let's see if I can fix it for you. Okay, here's this. I also don't hate the idea of the big triangle at the back. It's really not a huge problem. It's not perfect, but if I needed it all to converge to one point, it could. So it would end up looking something like this. And just end up turning everything into a triangle at the middle. The only reason I do it like this is just because of all the weird topology I have all the way around it. The biggest problem with this method is it could end up making a weird pinch on the model. So it's not always ideal, but it's not terrible. I can also kind of define where this ends up going. Multi-cut from here to the center. It's just kind of awkward for unwrapping it, but in reality, I can unwrap it fairly easily. kind of see it's not ideal for topology just because it can't quite cut through there. But I can do this. Sort of force this into the center. And then create more and more topology around here. Okay, let's see here. Yes. Yeah, combine everything in ZBrush. Merge everything in ZBrush. So the tighter I can get this circle in the middle, the better, because I can add more edge loops to that to just kind of get the overall shape I'm looking for at the end, which you can kind of see. It's going to try to conform to that. Then I can add more edge loops around here too. So it'll do its best to try to allocate topology around this. And if you need more, add more. It's not a terrible idea to increase it if the hair needs a little bit more geometry. I just don't want to be crazy dense back here with geometry and then the rest of the model is not that dense, right? So if I can keep a relatively similar density to my topology here as on the rest of the model, that's what I'm looking for. This is looking okay. Relatively similar in density. In Maya, you can, yeah. Oh, nice. There you go. Yeah, sometimes it takes a couple of times for it to figure itself out. So let me know if it has any other problems, then we can take a look at it. If it's working now, then I just take the wins where you can get them. This geometry is not going to look totally clean and perfect just because it's hair. I get a little hung up on this sometimes too, and I'll sit here and mess with this topology for way too long. But as long as it's picking up the overall shapes, that's what I want. The other thing too is I could always cheat this a little bit. If I feel like I need some more geometry in the hair back here, I can do it like this. And then I could always extrude this into the back of the head and just let it sit in there. And I'm not super worried about how that works. The only thing is making sure that it overlaps. So like I'd need to close this as its own piece, right? So I could hide this. Essentially what I'm doing is, I'll show you. So I'm taking this object here. So something like this, right? And then I just need to close this out. Turn off the live surface thing here. Sometimes it doesn't like it when you, I'm kind of cheating a little bit here. But at this point, I don't care. It'll work just fine. Just have to UV this separately. And then I can bring this piece back. And then all I do here is take this and extrude this into the head. And then it works the same way, right? So. I might try to flatten this out a little bit here. It's my live surface again, and I should be able to just quad draw this. Kind of adjust my object here. And I know that it goes through, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, the nice thing now is that I have all of this kind of set. Then I can combine these two meshes again. And then I can quad draw like this, right? But now my hair is not determined by the geometry on my character's head. Like, I can make this as dense as it needs to be to house the geometry for the ponytail and not stress too much about that. It's kind of nice. That more closely follows the rest of the object, which is what we were looking for. I'm just going to try to soften out some of these loops so they don't look crazy. But generally speaking, on the hair, if it's fairly decent, I'm not super concerned, because it's trying to follow the shapes and curvature of the ponytail there. Awesome. Good to hear. I'm glad it's working. Hopefully it's no more hiccups there. It's frustrating, I know, and you like get something close to done and then it crashes or you gotta restart, or I get it. It's annoying. So the less of that we can do, it's better. Okay. Next phase here. Let's do the rest of the body. Let's get the neck kind of pulled down here.
The simple fact is the ocean is as large
So
as it is.
hold that down, and then we can smooth this out a little bit through here. Sometimes I think if you need to, I think you can hide your live surface. Let's see. I'm going to test a theory here. Okay. So if I make this the live surface and I hide it, and it still will follow, yes. Or if it's because it's hidden, it can't. Yeah. I was trying to be slick there, but it didn't quite work. Let's go back here before I extruded this down. Make sure we're in Object X. I just want that to smooth in symmetry. I also don't need that to do what it's doing. That can stay tight in there. This one can smooth out. Some of these loops can stay a little tighter just because of the general shape of the topology around it. Like, kind of want an edge loop to flow with the cheekbone. And the jawline. Kind of want it to flow in that direction. And then I can adjust some of this a little bit better. Now that we have the neck, we can kind of do another extrusion here that goes out. And then we can deal with the rest of this shirt piece here. This one is going to be a little annoying just because you're going to have to kind of build up to this. That's going to be hard to see a little bit sometimes. Cleaner you can keep this around the back, it will be easier. Yeah, this is having a hard time. It wants to automatically kind of snap to certain spots, so you kind of have to tame it back a little bit and then drop in your edge loop where you want it to go. Nice thing is once we kind of get this set, we can extrude up the side, but it's just going to be a little bit of a pain. Kind of see where it wants to snap to certain stuff. Okay, I'm gonna try to fix this a little bit easier here. Sometimes it's easier to just isolate like this and then figure out what's going on here. That seems to be cleaned up a little better now. I'm not sure what was going on before, but and there could still be some weirdness there that I just need to clean up, but that should hopefully fix this up a little bit better. See, and object X could be causing weird stuff here too. There's some weird geometry stuff going on. Some of these spots. Where it wants to try to snap to a specific part of the model. I just need it to go around the neck right here. So don't hesitate, like if you need to jump out of quad draw to get things to kind of behave the way you need them to. Quad draw is here to help, but ultimately you can decide what this low poly looks like. Quad draw is here to make it easier for you. And if it's making it harder in some aspects, you can always jump out of quad draw. You need to find something a little bit better. Like this, for example, is becoming a pain. So I just move it where it needs to be. And I can kind of snap back where certain objects need to be. The other thing too that can happen when you're working in this view accidentally doing stuff that's not in symmetry, which is frustrating. Like, to the best of my ability, I want this to be in symmetry, right? This model is generally in symmetry. So if I need to go like this and say, okay, half this model is not quite in symmetry, if I need to go like this, again, isolate this one, base mode, take half of this out of here. So if I need to do something like this, straighten this line out a little bit here. Back to X and mirror this. I do want to merge. I don't want the merge threshold to be very big. I'm not sure what's happening with this. Not sure what's up with that. Okay. Let's combine these back together, go back to quad draw. Okay, there we go. Now everything's back in symmetry. Got a little jacked up, but that's okay because I was working in not symmetry, but now it is. Okay, let's take a look here. So now that that is in symmetry, we can do a little bit more with the this guy. I might be able to just do like something like that. I wonder if even hoping I could do I'm trying to think of the best way to go about this. in general, I could let the high poly be its own thing. And it already is, but how do I want to do that? I think we approach the close as their own separate piece, and I think that's fine. They don't have to be a separate mesh, but what I can do is do this. Now that this piece is done, I can throw this on its own layer here. Turn it off, and then let the close be their own thing, and we can start its own quad draw, separate from the other one, which I think will be generally easier. This one still wants to kind of connect to the other one. That's okay. Maybe it doesn't want to let me do that. I just do this. Let's see here. I haven't done this method before, so it's something, I'm trying something different here. If it will let me. Because this is all going to be one mesh, essentially. Right? Which I am okay with. Building this, and I quit out of quad draw and I go like this object, and I take this and mesh separate this, and I just click on this one and do quad draw. What does it do? Yeah, that's exactly what I want, because now the quad draw is not defined by any of this other one. And then I can just let the neck die into the shirt, technically, right? So I can make it all one kind of piece. And then we'll have to treat it a little bit like we did with the weapon, where we needed to create an exploded version. So we can do that too once we get to that point. I'm going to be a little bit looser with this. I think I can. Sweet. And then the biggest thing I wanted to make sure was I had like a clean edge loop through here, which I think I'm gonna get. And I don't really care what it looks like after this point on the thing, because it's gonna get covered up by a plinth, right? Excuse me. But now I can kind of create the topology for this all the way around. And I can be a little sloppier with this as I'm working through just getting overall shape. And this is going to obviously modify a little bit around this point. So this is where it will modify and change a little bit because of the shoulder pad that's sitting over the top. But in reality, it doesn't need to change all that much. It's just going to be the edge loop will modify itself a little bit. And the rest of this will just sort of act like an extrusion. And I can kind of even cheat a little bit on this and let the high poly do its job. So not terrible. Kind of okay with how that's working through there. Again, I don't really care what happens after this point right here because it's just going to die into that plinth. So as long as I've got the geometry there to kind of capture what's happening, I'm fine. Okay, looking decent. Kind of see what I'm doing here now, just capturing the rest of that shoulder pad up through here. Oh, my eyes itching. Okay, we're good. All right. So let's carry this back through the top here. Then we'll have to account for the shoulder pad. I'm going to kind of count this as the dead zone for the whole mesh right here. So I'm not going to really do anything after this point. And again, this is not totally clean. These edge loops could look a little better through here. But for right now, it's fine. I'm mostly just kind of getting these big chunks of topology in here. And this obviously got a little denser over here. We can always kind of take a look and see if it needs this much density. Again, we're mostly just trying to capture the detail between the two objects here, right? So I want to keep this tight edge loop just for that specific reason, right? I want that to be that line. I want the low poly to capture that information from the high. So I really need that to follow that line really nice and clean around. and there will be something that ends up happening very similarly along this edge so that we can capture the detail from the shoulder pad. Yeah, and again, the soften topology, like the relax tool, can sometimes want to get rid of your edge loops where you're trying to keep stuff tight and together. Like I kind of want this one tightened together to capture the edge between the collar and the rest of the shirt. So the soften topology or relax tool can sometimes be a detriment. It's okay right now, but just keep that in mind as you're going through and cleaning stuff up around your model. Just want to make sure this edge loop really captures that edge on the shoulder pad here. So we're gonna have a similar sort of edge loop that flows through here. We'll just have to make sure we can terminate that geometry through the other side. And it might end up being some triangles, and I'm okay with that in some situations, so. Sometimes it's nice to just kind of do something like this too, to start boxing stuff out as you're working. Sometimes it's easier to just see what you've got left to do. And I can always wrap and meet these in the middle. But I know I've got 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm okay with being a little sloppy with some of this stuff. Yeah, I'm okay with being loose on some of it and then cleaning it up at the end. What I don't want people to do is be loose like this and then just leave it, right? Still go through and clean up your topology for sure, but you don't need to stress so bad as you're going through that it's just not like perfectly, aligned everywhere quite yet. That's fine, You can use that relax tool to your advantage and clean stuff up at the end. Like this is really ugly topology through here. Like I've kind of just put it wherever, you know, but I can always adjust and clean it back up. See, like I can, now that I have that set, I can kind of run my relax tool over this a little bit and help me make that look a little better. And it recognizes that I'm trying to snap that to that edge a little bit. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it will break what you're trying to do, so you have to like move. But for the most part, it does an okay job of understanding what you're trying to do. So see, that was pretty ugly. And then I just ran the relax tool over it a little bit. And now that looks much cleaner. Might have to tweak a couple edges, but that looks way better, right? So the quicker you can be of just, boom, getting the, you know, geometry on the object, the easier that goes, right? But we're getting over class time. I know we still have a bit to go here, and then we still need to unwrap, so that's okay. We will do our best to wrap this up. I know I wanted to be closer to painting at this point, but this is a process, and I know most of you probably aren't done. So we'll just keep working. If it turns out that we run out of time to paint, we'll work through that, but we'll try to get as much done as we can. If it has to be a really quick crash course on painting faces, we can do that. This, I think, is an essential tool to understand, so I don't want to just skip over Retopo, because this is a huge skill to have. And I don't want you guys to not get that experience retopoing, so it's essential to understand how this functions. So I don't want to cheat you out of that experience. I'm actually going to do something like this here. I'm going to get this closer to here. Clean up this rotational symmetry a little bit better. Rotational geometry, I mean. Throw another edge loop there, that's fine. And honestly, I'm okay with this for a minute. Because it's going to get cut off. So I'm okay with this being a little sloppy through here. In fact, I'm going to go through and add my plinth just to kind of give me the visual. Okay. Let's add that really quickly and then we'll bounce out of here. wants to go to the live surface. I want that to be a little nicer. Let's do like a, this is a what-sided cylinder? Let's do like a 50-sided cylinder. I'm just going to do something here quickly to kind of make this look a little nicer here. Or at least try to. Nope, doesn't want to do that. My 50-sided cylinder was not a great idea. Let's see. Let's try 100. Give me a division right down the middle. This. Okay, let's do this and this. Select the top here. Just gonna do another little extrusion here. Out, object X on. Okay, cool. There's my plinth. All right, we went over 10 minutes of class, so if you're still here, cool, thank you. For those of you that are not or took off, that's also fine. We will reconvene next week in person. I'm just still recovering, if you can't tell. My voice is a little shot, so we should be in person next week, and then it will be holiday break, and then we'll come back and have one more week to get everything done. So I'm gonna delete all my type history here and then save as. Let's do one more save on here. And then we're done. Okay, thanks everybody, I appreciate it. If you got questions, hit me up in the Discord. If not, then I will see you on Monday. Happy to help. Make sure you reach out to your TAs if you need some help. And I will see you guys next week, okay? Thanks everybody, appreciate it.